Hey, good day. This is Executive Consultant Tim Hunt, and want to welcome you to this six-step training that we're about to get into. This six-step training is going to take you through a step-by-step process that allows you to become more familiar with the process of promoting through the Ambit opportunity. Now, what I will tell you is over a period of years, I wasn't always open to this process. But what I've learned is that everyone understands the goal, but very few people respect the process. So as you get introduced to this six step, whether you are new to the business or have been in the business for a number of years, realize that the people who have demonstrated the six steps consistently, time and time again, have experienced a tremendous amount of success. So there's proof in the pudding when we talk about these six steps. One step that you will hear me speak about quite frequently and passionately is the vision board and understanding your why. When I first started this business, this was the first vision board that I created, and we still have it. But it was one of those vision boards that allowed me to really take my thoughts and move them into action. Why? Because I was really passionate about getting a home for our daughters. I was really passionate about taking my wife to Hawaii. And there's a number of things that I'm still in progress of obtaining, and whether it's my brand new Bentley or whether it's just another aspect of my vision board. Everyone's vision board should be dynamic. It should be constantly evolving because we constantly evolve. So what I will tell you is if your why is strong enough, the how will happen without a problem. So what I'd like for you to do is buckle your seatbelts, get ready for a great six-step training, and if you like what you see, we're going to ask that you subscribe below, because what we're going to be doing over a period of time now is really introducing you to an aspect of learning and shifting your paradigm and your way of thinking so you can become the person that you were called to be. So we look forward to giving you this six-step training, and we hope you enjoy it. There we go. Don't forget to subscribe. So I will say first and foremost that 2017 has been a very exciting year thus far. And being in the business for 8 to 9 years, working it part-time with my wife, Yolanda, one thing I truly am blessed to be a part of, and that is this six-step training. This six-step training, once again, has been created by none other than our national consultant, Ray Monty, our fearless leader. But what I will tell you is it is something that is so standard and so important in your growth and development. So whether you are new to this business, whether you are in this business for the past 5 years, it doesn't matter. We have some veterans, in this webinar, and I see them. You know who you are. And we have some newcomers. But what I will tell you is this six-step training, whether you are in the United States or if you're in Japan, is going to work pretty much the same way. So really looking forward to giving you this true food for thought. So when we talk about six steps, when we talk about training individuals, it's all about getting the right people started. So many people that come into the business at the end of the day are just not the right people. And we have to be transparent about that. But those individuals that are the right people, you want to help them get paid right away. Once again, I give Norbert Hennessy all the credit for helping me trigger my first bonus. And it's all about getting them paid as fast as possible. You want to help them set up their website, reach those requirements, and once again, as soon as possible, put them in position to get promoted. I recommend everyone, whether you're new or old, get on those customer gathering calls every Tuesday night at 9:30. You see the number right there with the pin. Once again, take a photo of it, put it in your calendar. I always say that the more and more you are entrenched in the process, the more and more it becomes easier to help others get entrenched in the process. Renee Harris and Anita Griffey do a tremendous job, just adding value with so many different callers. I had the opportunity to be on a call just recently. And once again, just giving my perspective of it. So many people nowadays are really empowered because they hear so many different leaders having the struggles, but then having the success. So I truly recommend that you get on these calls. They are well worth it. They're recorded, so you'll be able to review them as well. But above all, get your team plugged in as well. So when we talk about getting those people started, how do they get started correctly? Well, they plug into a system. And right here, you're part of this webinar. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule on a Sunday evening. Really appreciate that. We have our web trainings. We have our conference calls. We have those training websites that you can join in on, our weekly meetings, corporate team events, Success from Home magazines, and our Power Zone and back office. Now, all of these things are integral to you building a business. All of them are important. But above all, you should read your emails. And I say that because many of us are so busy with life, we have a tendency to just assume that there's going to be a meeting, or we're going to assume that there's a training. And then that's all great. And for the most part, they usually are. But especially in the winter months, you want to make sure that you're reading your emails. God forbid something changes. At the same time, even, when it's nice weather, reading your emails is important to stay in touch with your team, to be informed. And once again, Ray and the team do a great job of sending out just a few emails to keep us updated on what's coming up and what we need to be a part of. We do have that, once again, huge team in the EC Factory, and part of that is building, once again, the ambittraining.net. You see the calls up there, and I always recommend, please take a snapshot of these screenshots, because these calls are so important. We have our call with Ray, and we're going to have one tonight at 8:30 p.m. You're going to hear from the best of the individuals who have fought the good fight and got promoted to whether it's senior consultant or executive consultant, and those up and coming that are even pushing a national consultant. This call is what I like to say, the pure boots, jeans, strap up. Let's go out there and get it done. You hear, once again, from those individuals who have fought that fight and are really getting it done. The call at 10 p.m. with our national consultant, the founding national consultant, Brian McClure, and various other leaders, is one of those calls about the mental fortitude that you need to have to go out there and build your business. Now, both these calls are great, but what I will tell you is there is a dynamics to both of them. And if you feel you can't get on any of these calls, the ecfactorynation.com and Top Ambit Leaders are truly two websites that are full with resources that will help you develop and build your business. So once again, big shout outs to Rob Utter for building the EC Factory, and once again, Brian McClure for Top Ambit Leaders. So let's get into this 6-step training. What we're going to talk about, you see it right here. We're going to talk about your why. We're going to really dig deep into that. Hopefully we can get a little interactive. We're going to talk about creating your list. We're going to talk about that brief invitation. We're going to do our best to avoid that valley of death. We're going to really come to grips and understand what the business presentation is really about. And then the closing 3-way call. So with that, let's dive in and really get to the meat of this training. What is your why? So many times when I speak to people, that is the first thing I ask them. And when I first got started in the business, many of us were asked the same question. And what I will tell you is, hands down, is your why is going to be one of the strongest motivating forces in your journey to financial freedom. So I'm going to ask you, and I usually kind of keep the chat line open. If you could, please tell me what your why is. And I know we got a few people in here. I'm going to try to address it, but tell me what your why is. Please type it in there. Let me know what your why is. So many of us might be looking for, to quit our job, or, fire our boss. Some of us to, build that new home. Some of us to, buy a new car, whatever it is. Type it in there. Let me see what it is. To pay off credit card. Keith is talking about paying off those loans. Absolutely. Bill is talking about firing his boss. Therese is talking about leaving a legacy for our kids and 15 grandkids. Wow. Huge. Zoran is talking about the children going to college. What about Michelle? To support, my child in her extra school activities. Alyssa's talking about financial freedom. You see, even though you see this why up here, they are addressing the same thing that everybody's putting in this web room. Struggling with my why. Well, you know what? You got to write that why down. If you're struggling with your why, you got to write it down. So many of us are looking to fire our boss. So many of us are looking to, just get ahead in life, to have a peace of mind. What I will tell you, and I learned this, from one of our executive consultants, and probably is now a national consultant, that if your why is not strong enough to make you cry, it's not strong enough. So, when I hear people talk about their health, and I see M&J talking about their health, and I see Bob talking about, 2 kids and 8 grandkids and paying off, debt of 100,000 plus in loans. Guess what? That gets and helps people stay up at night. And we don't want that. So we want to make sure that our why is really strong enough to move us into action. So many of us, once again, are not really in touch with our why. And sometimes it really has to take, unfortunately, that unfortunate turn of events for us to really get going. So once again, I appreciate everybody putting their why out there. I appreciate your transparency. But when I started this business, it was about my children, spending quality time with them and making sure I was able to buy that house that I wanted to put my children in. And for the past 5 years, I was building that mindset. I was building that effort. I was putting forth the discipline like many of you are doing right now. But what I want to tell you is right now, when I see Rich, getting over cancer so I don't leave my family a mess because I caused a legacy. Think about that, folks. See, those things right there, those are jarring events. And I want you to realize that everyone in this room can be successful. Everyone in this room can build an opportunity with Ambit. Everyone in this room can reach their goals. But what I will tell you is that why has to be strong enough. There have been times when I've spoken about my why and I started to tear up because I was so motivated. I was so focused on getting that goal. And guess what? With the blessings of that man above and allowing me to just stay healthy and move forward, I was able to obtain that. And so many other people in Ambit Energy. Why? Because they were passionate about it. I watched so many videos on YouTube and all we hear about is passion and discipline. What is your why? It has to be something that will move you into action. And regardless of what other people are saying or what other people are thinking, you are still moving forward. So once again, your why has to be that strong. And in order to create that strength, in order to create that mindset, in order to create that discipline, part of that is creating a vision board. Now I hear a lot of people sometimes throw the vision board under the bus. They're like, oh, the vision board is, it's BS. Oh, it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. What I'm here to tell you is I got 2 vision boards right now. And I wish I can just kind of flip the video and show it to you right now. But the reality is this, that vision board is what kept me grounded. That vision board is what kept me focused. That vision board that I saw every morning, getting up month after month, day after day, week after week, still going into the city, still going to work. Guess what? It gave me hope. It gave me that mindset. And for many of you, if you've never created your vision board, you need to. I know somebody spoke to me and said they were struggling with their why. It was Keith and Amanda. If you're struggling with your why, you need to create a vision board because, see, we're creatures of habit. We learn by watching things and viewing things. You start to create a vision board, you'll start to see the things that you really want. Whether you're cutting a picture out of a magazine or whether you're, printing something from the internet or even if you're drawing it and if you're artistic enough. But what I will tell you is this, that vision board will stir some things up in you that will get you going. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So when we think about your list usually won't get created unless you're moved into action. So I want you to think about this because when we identify with our why and we create a vision board, we start to stir up those feelings. And those feelings, really start to just motivate us. So, your thoughts become your feelings and your feelings then turn into action. And the action is creating this list. And if you create that action over time, you will develop those results that are favorable in your life. And then those results will compound over a period of time. And then your destiny will be shaped. But it has to start with you. So when you make that list, step 2, you are looking for the pearls, whether they're friends and family, whether they're people from work, whether they're professional business people, successful people. Above all, you can't prejudge. See, as I coach various clients in my sphere of influence, I constantly hear that even though people are very successful, they have a low level of self-esteem. They're not really comfortable about approaching other successful people. They're not comfortable about approaching business people. Why not? Those are the people you're looking for. You're looking for the pearls that have the leverage. You're looking for the pearls that have the influence. You're looking for the people that at the end of the day know how to influence others. So you have to make that list. But above all, you can't prejudge. I always say this time and time again. You never know, that dud will truly turn into a stud one day. They may bring in the next stud. They might bring in the next Ray Monty. They might bring in the next Mike Obey. They might, bring in the next Tim Devine. All I'm telling you is when you create that list, you can't prejudge anyone on the list. Your job is to go out there and execute. Don't look left, don't look right, look forward and execute. So making that list is vitally important to your success because that gets you going. But once again, if you didn't start with something that's a burning desire to help you create that list and think of all the wonderful people that are in your circle, you won't see it happen. So let's think about it for a moment. You might be saying, well, I really don't know that many people. Well, think about this. How many people are dissatisfied with a job, unhappy with income, that are business owners that are really strapped to their business because they can't move. They can't move. They're stuck to their job. They're stuck to their business. Siblings, parents, old classmates, people who volunteer, people in the military. And that's huge nowadays because when we talk about the military, people automatically think about Japan. So think about how big that is right now. Whether they are part-time workers, sell Avon, Mary Kay, whatever it is, there's always an opportunity for people. And what I always tell individuals when we're looking to, build a business and create a list is that it's always about following up with individuals to make sure that you keep in touch with them. So as you build your list, the understanding is that this is a numbers game. And in order to stay focused on the numbers game and not fall into that avenue of what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? You need to make sure that your invitation is brief. It needs to be quick. It needs to be to the point, and it needs to be within 3 minutes or less. Now, truly, I want to say 1 minute or less. Why? Because that is going to allow you to sort through the masses. So let's take, for instance, if we was trying to reach out to everybody in this web room and we were trying to reach out to 100, 200 people, it would take us a considerable amount of time to call each and every one of them and try to set an appointment. But if we kept it brief, if we kept it simple, we would be able to sort through the masses. So if you feel that you're that individual that is going to kind of go on and on and on, write down the script. You see it right here. Take a screenshot of it. Take a picture of it. Hey, Bob, when are you free? Bob, I need your opinion. The only purpose of the invitation is to get somebody to take a look. Above all, please, please, please do not explain the business. Take it from someone who did this in the beginning of his Ambit journey. I would do my best to invite someone and explain the business at the same time. And as Brian McClure would say, I was collapsing the invitation with the presentation. And even though I was blessed to have a number of individuals join the business, they tried to do the same thing and it didn't work. It wasn't duplicatable. And what ended up happening is through some of my early codes, I ended up building a house of cards. So I'm here to tell you that everyone makes mistakes, but learn from those who've made the mistakes so you don't have to make them. So above all, please do not explain the business. This is just where you're asking to get your foot in the door. This is where you are looking to just go out and say, hey, can I get your attention for the next 5 to 10 minutes so I can invite you to take a look? Now, there are going to be some people that are going to be rather persistent. More than likely, some business owners who are very busy, individuals who are in your life that, you know what, they might have an idea what you're doing and they kind of want to get to the bottom of it. And they're going to probably pry and ask you some questions. Now, that's okay because guess what? At the end of the day, it's okay for people to be inquisitive. But here's what you want to do to counter that. Because once again, you still want to maintain this awareness that it's about inviting someone to take a look. So think about these 3 questions. How many people that you know use electricity and natural gas or would like to go solar? Now, most people that you ask, they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, wow, come on, everybody I know, think about it. Okay, well, how many of them would you like to pay less or even get it for free? Once again, most of those individuals will look at you and they'll say, well, what is this all about? Here is where you have to walk a fine line, because the next question is really driving the introduction to the invitation. So how would you like to earn a residual income and potentially thousands of dollars in bonuses by referring people to that offer? Now, once again, if you can memorize these 3 questions, I can promise you, you will avoid most of the time putting your foot in your mouth and being able to set the appointment. Why? Because this kind of piques their interest, and then they're like, well, Anthony, what are you speaking of? Dave, what are you talking about? Ed the plumber, what are you talking about? Dan, what are you speaking of? Bourne, what are you speaking of? Explain this to me. And now Ann Perez's job and Alan Kimball's job is to do what? To say nothing, but invite them to take a look at the presentation. And that's where we avoid the valley of death. See, many of us, once again, are so proactive to trying to give everyone the information as fast as possible, we end up shooting ourselves in the foot. And as I said, I'm giving it to you right from the horse's mouth. I've been there so many times. Being a coach, speaker, and trainer, one of my gifts is speaking. So I want to give somebody all the information as fast as possible. I want to give them as much so they don't even have to ask questions. But the reality of this business is the more you say, the less you make. And the less you say, the more you make. Once again, don't confuse the invitation with the presentation. And I'm going to tell you point blank. I'm online with Ray Monty, once again, looking at the 6-step training. And I'm really, just listening to Ray. And I'm excited because, Ray's getting promoted. So many of us are, climbing. And I'm looking and I'm listening and I'm like, what do you mean? The more you say, the less you make. I went totally the opposite. I was once again trying to convince everyone. I was trying to give everyone all the information as fast as possible. Folks, it's not duplicatable. It's just not. The people that are gifted in this room that can speak to someone and maybe have the ability to sell them, the shirt off their back, great. But guess what? The person that you're speaking to might not be gifted in that arena. So you have to keep it simple and duplicatable. So avoiding a valley of death is really adding value to the person you're speaking to because you're keeping it simple, you're keeping it duplicatable, and at the same time, you're teaching them the proper way. So if you're able to follow those 4 steps and bring them to the 5th one, which is the business presentation, above all, you have to be excited. See, when people view this opportunity, you kind of have to be on the edge of your seat watching it along with them. This is not the time for you to be walking around and speaking to other people. This is the VIP treatment, the very important person or the very important prospect that you're speaking to. Whether you're showing them a DVD, the videos from the website where you can download, all the videos to be offline. That is a huge website that you see right there. The Success from Home magazine, one-on-ones or two-on-ones, in-home presentations, personal websites, local meetings, whatever method that you're showing, it has to be met with excitement. It has to be met with a sense of urgency. And I think about Norbert all the time with this because, he's like one of those individuals that you can just model. If you saw, business presentation, Ambit Energy, there should be a picture modeled of Norbert there. Why? Because he's constantly excited. He's constantly involved in the process. And for so many of us, I'm going to put it out there for what it's worth. Everyone understands the goal when we show somebody the presentation, but guess what? Very few of us can respect the process. So I'm reaching out to you tonight to say, be excited, be engaged, look at the presentation like it's the first time. And if you're at a one-on-one and you're at a two-on-one, once again, be attentive. In-home meetings, be focused. Don't be worrying about the dog and trying to put everything away. Be focused on the individuals that are in that room, the VIPs, the very important prospect. Be informed and be aware, because that business presentation is that next level of escalation of belief. When people go into a local meeting and they see people that are, from the Border Patrol agents, and they see people that are from, the medical field, and they see people that are from the IT field, and they see people that are from, the stay-at-home moms, guess what? They realize they can do it too. And this is an each one teach one business, everyone. So I want you to be excited about this. Whether you are, once again, showing it from any side of the globe, you need to be excited. You need to be informed. And when you think about it, could you explain it any better than any of these individuals? I mean, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Ray Kroc, McDonald's, Sam Walton, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin. I mean, think about it like this. If Bill Gates spoke to Carol and Rick from Delaware and said to them, hey, listen, I want you to take a look at this opportunity, and I want you to do one or two things. I want you to do your best to remember what you're looking at and then give it back to somebody else. Or I want you to take this disc and show it to somebody else. And if they have any questions, I want you to get me on the line. Here's my personal number. This is Bill Gates talking to you. And let's just say, hypothetically, Carol and Rick reached out to Dave Lipinzik. Would Dave be engaged if they tried to explain it all? Or he was informed by someone that was an expert and then understood the leverage? Obviously, it's the second one. Because, see, the business presentation is the tool. The business presentation is what allows us to kind of kick back and just relax and watch in what I like to call on-the-job training. Because, see, the presentation does all the work. That's the tool. See, you led them to the well, and now the presentation is quenching their thirst. So think of it like this. No one in this web room could explain the business like Sam or Ray. No one. So your best effort and your best bet is to tie in to those individuals who have been there before you and follow their lead, because that leads you to the closing three-way call. Now, above all, do your best to set the call up in advance. I really want to thank Curtis. Was working with Curtis earlier today, and I did a three-way for him. And he has a group of us on a three-way text, group text. And he reaches out and lets, people know, hey, I have a three-way pending. Can you please help out? And the amazing thing is that he sets it up in advance. And this is how it should always be done. Setting the call up in advance, building up your business partner to your potential consultant. Now, once again, we're talking about building them up in a way that relates to their life. So I always ask the individual, please tell me a little bit about them so I know who they are. I can understand and start to, think about some of the things that we have in common. You might want to show the Success from Home magazine and point, out your business partner, because we have a tremendous amount of individuals from the EC factory that are on that magazine. And above all, you want to refer to them as your business partner, not your upline. I think so many times when people hear the word upline, they really get to a point where they're like, oh, upline, this person's above me. No. We want to refer to them as our business partner, because that means we're equals. And everyone in this web room, we're equal. We just started at a different time. And do your best to do the call right away. And if you're able to perform those steps one by one, what usually happens is a nice flow like this. You'll have Jay and Teresa, Sanborn reaching out, and they'll say, well, hey, Tim, I need you to speak to this individual. This individual, is a business owner in the computer industry. He has his own IT consulting firm. And I'm like, great, you know what? That's my field. I'd love to speak with them. And as we get on the line, they're able to edify me. They're able to tell me a little bit about that individual, and then they zip it. Now, why is that so important? Because, see, this is what most people miss from the three-way call. The ability to hand over the conversation to someone else is that true on-the-job training. It is that true release of responsibility. It gives you the leverage that many of us are fearful of because we don't want to say the wrong things and then create leverage. Because the reality is, if this person joins the business, they've been walked and coached through the process properly. So they have the mindset already in place to say, I remember when I was walked through this process. And I remind all our new business partners to say, hey, when you got through this process and you signed on the dotted line, do you remember what you went through? Because once again, it's about setting the call up in advance to give other people the opportunity to add value to your life if somebody else is not available. And as we, once again, build up our business partner, that is just showing that we're part of something much greater than ourselves. That Success from Home magazine is just edifying us on a larger scale because it's a national publication. And then, once again, referring to them as your business partner creates unity. If you don't have the ability to do the call right away, it's okay, but we recommend doing it as soon as possible. Why? Because what you're going to hear from most of the people that do the three-way is the credibility of Ambit, with the Inc. 500, #1 privately held company, in 2010. 1.5 billion in revenue right now. The DSN, A plus better business bureau rating, JD Power, all that's in place now. So as I did that three-way call this afternoon for Curtis, I was able to articulate that to that individual. I was able to speak about the timing. I was able to speak about the team. And all together, this person said to me, you know what? This is rather interesting. I'm going to do some research and I'm going to get back to you. Great. Here's my number. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. But what happens in that process that many people are not mindful of is that the person who is already the consultant has just obtained a wealth of information because they understand that as they build their team, they're going to need to support them. They're going to get more and more familiar with some of the common rebuttals that come from various people throughout our journey, and they're going to be able to answer them with a stern voice. They're going to be able to answer them with confidence. They're going to be able to answer them from experience. So I like to say that that closing three-way call is not only to escalate somebody's belief and get them into the business, but it's also to create leverage. It's also there to relieve the stress from individuals that feel like they might be a little nervous trying to answer all these questions, but it also educates them for the next round of three ways that they're going to do. So that closing three-way call is filled with a slew of information for you to really take part in and just understand how powerful this process is. Now, once again, I'm going to be transparent when I say this. I wasn't at that level when I first started because I wasn't aware that all this poured into me would then allow me to sustain and support the masses that would then come into my business later on, or for many of us that are growing huge teams in this web room. So make sure that you realize that, once again, team, together, everyone achieves more. And it is really about doing that closing three-way call as soon as possible, but learning from it and developing the mindset of what did I go through during that process? What did I go through during that call? And above all, the reality is you can't quit. So many of us, as we move through life and we're faced with all sorts of adversity, I will tell you hands down, having my mother be diagnosed with cancer not so long ago and fighting that fight and, dealing with various problems, whether it was business, whether it was, personal. We all go through it. But the goal to success is understanding that when you get knocked down, you have to get back up. Regardless of how many times you get knocked down, regardless of how many times people tell you no. It all goes back to what I said in the very beginning about your why being strong enough to make you cry. So when your mother tells you no, that she won't be a customer, you're not sitting there saying, woe is me, and this business doesn't work. Or your closest friend, when they tell you it's a scam and you're going to go to jail, it's never going to work. You see, there has to be that burning desire as you see this stork trying to swallow that frog or that toad. And he's like, no, I'm not letting go until you let me go. And what I want you to realize is a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can put this as one of your vision boards, because we constantly get knocked down. We constantly get reminded of the fact that there are a bunch of people in this world that rather live, a mediocre life. They rather just, be to themselves. That's okay, because everybody in this web room, you're not associated with them anymore. You're associated with the EC factory. You're associated with leaders. You're associated with people that are going to pour into you. You're associated with people that stretch you and not, push you down. So I encourage you to stand firm when other people are doubting you. I encourage you to stand firm when you're even doubting yourself, because we're our worst critic. So above all, you can't quit. You just cannot quit. It's not even acceptable in our lifetime right now, especially what's going on in our world. So what I would like to say to you is, I pray that this was of value to you. I pray it was something that allowed you to see it from a different perspective, because I'm not perfect and nobody in this web room is. But as long as you can, as John Maxwell say, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. This is a learning exercise for us. And I encourage you, instead of to reach out to somebody and constantly ask for a hand, touch a heart first. Because in order for you to touch their hand, you have to touch your heart first. And I hope I was able to do that with most of you this evening. I hope I was able to pour a little bit of value into your life this evening and give it to somebody else, because everyone's cup runneth over. So don't ever give up. Be blessed. Be safe. Thank you so much for joining me, and we appreciate you, my wife, my children. Y'all rock. It's all good, Paul. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ray. It's all good. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keith, Allie, Joe, Janet, Jennifer, Michelle, it's all good. Thank you so much. Wow, Nancy, appreciate that. Love adding value. Thank you so much. Elizabeth, so good. Norbert, way to go. And hopefully, I'm not going to push the envelope too much here, but hopefully I was successful in recording this, so I might be able to send out a link to everybody. This one looks like it finally worked. So once again, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. Peter, Dave, Donovan, Bill, Tom, it's all good. Chris, once again, Norbert, thank you so much for helping me trigger that first check. Jay and Teresa, appreciate you. God bless. Thanks again, Scott. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Jason, sure, you can reach out to me, bro. Shoot me an email, timhunt@yahoo.com, timhunte@yahoo.com. Don't forget the E. Will do. I'll do my best to send a link. And I'll make sure, usually I'll put it in Norbert's hand, but I'm going to just make sure it's all clean and everything, and I'll pass it to Norbert. Norbert is good at sending those things out. But if you don't hear from me in the next 3 to 4 days, send me a request, timhunt@yahoo.com, timhunte@yahoo.com. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Andrea. Appreciate it. Wow, first time joining. Congratulations. Create your vision board. Create your vision board. Please, please, please create your vision board and really write down what your why is. Work with your business partner who brought you into the business, and just sit down and really identify what your why is. Create a roadmap. All right? That's going to be very helpful to you guys, Joseph and Andrea. Welcome to the team. God bless. Thanks, Mike. Jeff, love you, bro. Do those trainings, bro. So impactful. Your team is blowing up, bro. I'm proud of you. I remember our conversations uh, at Tom and Andy's joint, bro. It's amazing what you've been doing. God bless you, man. I pray all is well with the family. Right, y'all, we're going to wrap it up. Good night. Be safe. You remember that, right? I love you too, bro. That's what this is about, man. Iron and sharpening iron. All right, y'all. Good night.